Um, okay, hi everybody again. Welcome. This session will be on improving leadership through self-reflection. And I will go ahead, I have a fancy PowerPoint just like everybody, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Let's see, share. Is everybody seeing that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alrighty. So I want to start by sharing this quote from Confucius. And it's by three methods we learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is noblest. Second, by imitation, which is easiest. And third, by experience, which is bitterest. And to break this down, I want to work backwards. First, they say experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. And we're all going to have different experiences in life, of which many may be challenging and also not what we hope for. And second, he says imitation, which is easiest. Some people say that the secret to success is to copy the habits of someone who is already successful. And while that's not necessarily bad advice, it will only take someone so far. So to kind of bring it all together, reflection, which he says is noblest, is immensely important. You have to take the time to really think about your life, where your life was, where your life is, and where your life is going, to put it in a broad sense. And it's important to reflect on your experiences and also why you should be imitating the successful, or the successful. So as important as reflection is, most people overlook it and don't practice it, or don't practice it correctly. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a better understanding of how to properly self-reflect and improve your leadership qualities. So what is self-reflection? Self-reflection is the conscious action of truthfully evaluating your beliefs and actions to learn and improve. Self-reflection can be used towards improving yourself personally and professionally, and it requires commitment and total honesty to truly reap the most benefits. So who should be taking time for self-reflection? And the answer is everyone. You don't necessarily have to be in a leadership role to be self-reflecting, because it's going to help you improve in your life really no matter what. You should be taking at least 15 minutes weekly to reflect, but ultimately you should probably be aiming for around an hour that you carve out of your week to just kind of sit back and reflect. You want to critically analyze your strategies, actions, and outcomes of that prior week. So why should I self-reflect? So ultimately, you want to reap a clearer and more efficient path towards your goals. And the goal is not to beat yourself up and throw a pity party. And also, self-reflection serves no purpose if you lie to yourself and just say, you know, I did everything great and I'm perfect. So the idea is to honestly face your shortcomings and develop a plan to address them. But also, importantly, you want to reflect on what you did right. And that is incredibly important part of self-reflection, because by identifying what you did well or what worked well for you, you can streamline your future endeavors. So why do people avoid self-reflection? Well, most people don't understand the process, they don't like the process, or they don't like the results, which is usually because they're not doing it right. So hopefully after this, the process will be clear and a little less scary or daunting. So how do I start the process of self-reflection? Well, first you want to set aside some time each week. Like I said earlier, aim for an hour, but if that seems too long, then 15 minutes, and just work your way up to an hour. And it's important that you schedule it just like you would any other meeting or appointment. Put it in your calendar if you have to, and just know at that time I'm going to spend time reflecting on what went down this last week. And before you actually sit down to reflect, to prepare, you want to start by jotting down some questions to guide you. And it's going to vary from week to week, but some good ones that I found that you can go through might be: what are you avoiding? How are you helping your colleagues achieve their goals? How might you be contributing to your least enjoyable relationship at work? How could you have been more effective in a recent meeting? Am I allowing things I can't control to stress me out? Do I make time for those closest to me? Am I achieving the goals I've set for myself? And importantly, what did I do right this week? Because remember, by identifying this, you can home in on that action and streamline whatever those activities are in the future just by repeating them. Continued, so I ran out of space. Whenever you actually start the process, whatever day you decide to reflect, a lot of people choose to journal and write it down. But for some people, that's just ain't gonna happen. They do not like to write or don't want to write. So you can also do it with a friend, a colleague, or a therapist if you have one. It's just important that when you sit down with those people, you don't get off track and, talk about something else. You gotta, treat it just like it were a business meeting and focus on the agenda of self-reflection. And at this point now, when you're going through it, you want to go through each of the questions. You want to take your time and you want to look at each question from different angles, different perspectives, to really fully try to grasp, what you can improve or what went right. And so lastly, once you've completed that, you want to take action. So whatever your plan is going forward, get a coach, take a class, or, do some research. If there's like a particular area that you're struggling in, and it personally or at work, but it doesn't really do any good to self-reflect if you don't make a plan for improvement going forward. So that's kind of a very important step. So the effects of self-reflection, it was kind of hard to find any real studies or at least statistics that I could share, but I did find one from the Harvard Business Review. And to quote it, it says, call center employees who spent 15 minutes at the end of the day reflecting about the lessons they learned performed 23% better after 10 days than those who did not reflect. And additionally, another survey they did or study they did in the UK found that UK commuters found a similar result when those who were prompted to use their commute time to think about and plan for their day were happier, more productive, and less burned out than people who didn't. So it's important, and it's certainly not going to hurt you. So if nothing else, it will help you. So I did find a video from Simon Sinek, who is pretty well known. He's a British American author, motivational speaker, and an organizational consultant. And this is just a quick, I think it's like a 1.5-minute video, but he really emphasizes what we just went over. So I'm going to play that. Let me know if you can hear it.
I'm not hearing anything right now.
Uh-oh. Nothing?
A little bit. It's really faint though.
Okay. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can find the volume. Shoot. Technical difficulties.
It's all good. Something similar happened with
I thought I prepared. I thought I checked everything. Hold on one second.
It's cool, no worries.
Okay. Let me change. Are you guys seeing a different screen now?
Your desktop.
Okay. Bring it over to a new monitor. No. Sorry about this, guys.
That's cool.
That's okay. I realized when I rewatched mine from earlier today, my video did the same thing.
All right, hopefully this
Let's try it.
does it. No. Is that any better?
Yes.
Okay.
What role has reflection played in shaping your personal growth? The ability to look at oneself critically, to say to oneself, you were good in that situation, you weren't good in that situation, you could have been better in that situation. Not to be overly critical, meaning you're always at fault when something goes badly, or not to be so filled with hubris that you think everything you did was fine and it's always the other person, but be able to sort of separate yourself, to look at the situation from as if you were the third party evaluating it. When they do sales training, there's, it's always three people. One who pretends to be the salesman, one who pretends to be the customer, and one who observes. And then they all take turns, and the one who's learning is the observer. So the question is, can you be your own observer? Like, can you replay a situation? And so self-reflection has been huge for me, and I've been huge into it for many, many, many years. The ability to say, okay, I can take some responsibility for the outcome of that, good or bad, and I can learn to begin where I can learn to spot those situations and avoid them in the future.
So that was pretty much it. That pretty much wraps up the PowerPoint. Does anybody have any questions? References. And
How has reflection played out in your own personal life, if I could ask?
well, I actually got the idea. Oh, no, cancel that. How do I go back to
That one.
this one?
I think it's on the right.
Yeah, that's what I'm clicking, but
Is it on another monitor?
no,
It's
I
weird
haven't plugged
'cause-
the monitor. So
Oh, it's down here. You've got it at the bottom.
down here, this one.
I think you need to.
Sorry, am I anywhere in the right vicinity? Let me see.
Mine was at the top where it said stop share screen.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Put your monitor up
that
there.
makes sense.
There we
you
go.
Okay, sorry about that. My first time, so. Yeah, so I actually got the idea to use self-reflection as my topic from my sister, and she is a fourth grade school teacher here at in Rockland, California. And she's been a teacher for about 10 years. And it turns out like reflection is a huge part of teachers, for teachers and for planning their curriculum from year to year. And so she kind of went on a long story about how, when she got to this particular school and they started with a curriculum, and it's like some of it comes across kind of as busy work, or some of it worked for her, some of it didn't, some of it worked for the students, some of it didn't. And so over the years, she's able to like say, take certain things out and, home in on something that really worked well for the students. And, that's how she's become kind of like a superstar at her school for fourth grade, so to speak. She's the teacher, everybody is hoping to get. And she attributes a lot of it to, reflection at the end of the year. So then I started doing research, and, I learned a lot figuring all this stuff out. Does anybody on here, do they self-reflect or ever?
I self-reflect daily. It's
Do
my
you?
superpower too. I get a lot of credit for being intelligent, And it was fairly recently when I realized amongst my like family and friends, I'm probably the least intelligent. I go over everything at the end of the day. I've just always done that. And so at the end of the day, I think about how my day went and what I could do better, in the future. And so the only difference I think between me and my family realistically and how we do things is I'm very okay with being wrong. And I'm very okay with learning from my mistakes. And so over the years, what it's turned into is they think that I'm very intelligent, mature, and have everything put together. And it's like, no, we've just seen this before. We've all, at a certain point, you're just seeing the same thing over and over. And you just figure out how to handle it better.
Yeah, especially with like the example with the call center. That hit close home to me because one of my previous jobs was a call center associate. But it's just like, it also helps break up the monotony because it can easily feel like you're trapped doing the same thing day after day after day. But by doing the self-reflection, you can go, okay, well, we had this situation or something very similar to it, and then what can I do in order to make it different or reflect better? And it can be applied to a lot of different other areas, I would think.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and they, when I was reading it, there's only so much, book learning, so to speak, that you can do. So much you can cram on your head, cram in your head, so much knowledge. But to actually put it to work, put it to use, that's when you kind of have to go back and reflect on it, So it makes sense. And, it's definitely something I'm going to try to make a part of my life going forward.
I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead,
So
Lisa.
I do the reflection mostly for work because in medical device sales, so I'm working with a lot of different hospitals, and then I'm working different orders within the hospital. So I'll set up, I have a little template that I'll use. I call it my brains. I keep it all for the whole month together. So it's orders. It's if anything is pending on the order, I need to go back and grab. It's follow-ups for that day. I'll be writing down my tasks that I need to get done today or follow-up stuff that I'm trying to work on as well. The one thing about my, people that I work with, they think that my memory is absolutely amazing and that because I can just find things really fast. It's just because I'm really good at writing stuff down. I mean, it's kind of simple. It seems like magic, but it's not.
Even just a simple act of writing something down helps compartmentalize it in your brain so you can retrieve it quicker in the future.
Well, I don't even have to remember it. I just have to grab my brains and flip to that page and read it. It's like, it is magic to them, but I just have gotten really like this nice little vibe of doing that, but it helps with the self-reflecting. At the end of the day, I'm kind of looking through and making sure did I check everything off, and I'm already setting up my next day of who do I need to call back, what document might I need to go forward and get so that I'm not chasing it 2 weeks, down the road. Because every day my case managers, they're still busy. They're just as busy as they were when we were working that one order that got released already. They don't care about that order that got released and that patient that got discharged. They care about the current thing. So I'm trying to minimize, negatively impacting them with stuff that I still need, but, they don't want it. They're too busy to deal with it today.
Yeah. It's a great
So
example. When
you say magic, you're saying you're a witch?
Yes, 100%.
Got it. Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah. So be careful.
I was just going to say, I don't necessarily, it's similar. My husband and we're strange people. Of course we live together, but we carpool together. We work in the same building. We have lunch together. So we're together a lot. But when it comes to reflecting, usually on the car ride home, we talk about everything, what happened in our works, and because we work in the same field, we can talk about it and we understand it. And then when we get home, and then in the mornings, it's usually we talk about the kids because when they come home from school, then we find out what they did for the day. But it's not exactly like a meditation of any sort, but it's kind of like a reflection.
Oh, I think that works because when you're talking to somebody who completely understands not only your family but your work environment,
Yep.
that
That definitely is good reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciated that you mentioned on there about how important it is to actually schedule it.
Yes.
I used to be really good about journaling and just taking that time to self-reflect every day or every other day. And I haven't done so in quite a while just because I stopped making time for it.
Hmm.
I have a paper planner that I write like everything down color coded. So I guess it's a little ways of like reflecting on what's going on, but I used to be much better at it.
Sure. Well, get back into it.
That's my plan, actually. This kind of was like the kickstart I needed.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I told you guys it would be a lot faster than Shauna's, even with the technical difficulties.
I was bummed I missed Shauna's. I'd hoped to join, but I ended up getting busy with something else and just time got away from me.
No.
Oh, you didn't miss much. Is it just a bunch of animals, really, during Sean's presentation?
Yes, a lot of animals.
It was a real
A lot of
zoo.
animals.
The whole presentation.
The whole thing.
You know,
Dad jokes for
Brian,
me.
you know,
On portfolio.
I on the other hand, Brian, this is just a sorry, my camera's not working. I'll have it good for tomorrow. But I'm a person that doesn't really reflect. I think life is always moving so fast that I don't have the privilege or sometimes the time to stop and rethink things, before you begin to reflect the next crisis, the next issue arises. So I do appreciate the effort and the passion you have on this subject, even sharing personal anecdotes about your sister and how it's helped her in her teaching career. So I'm glad that you're ending a bit early, because guess what I'm going to do after this?
Reflect.
You gonna go reflect?
I'm going to give it a shot.
Good. Good.
I was going to guess that you're going to fix your camera, but I was way off.
Oh, I thought he had another computer for that.
I can't wait to see your mustache, Joe.
Me too, because I can barely grow one.
I'm waiting for the man bun.
Oh no.
Promised a man bun.
Actually, I don't have a man bun either. It's going to be a big surprise tomorrow, ladies and gents. I can't wait.
We are all now tuning in for that. So
Oh.
Yeah, you know how to tease your audience, don't you?
I know.
What time is yours tomorrow?
I'm sorry?
What time is your meeting?
It's 7:30.
Okay.
Yeah, but I noticed that not a lot of people are doing, it on a half an hour. So I don't know if that's okay, or we're supposed to do it on the hour block. Do you know that? 'Cause
Didn't you get the
it's on the
Didn't you get the
video.
briefing? We're always supposed to do it on the hour. That's how the system works.
Well,
That's
because
what I thought.
Kimberly has hers at 7 o'clock, and then Alexis has hers at 8 o'clock. She moved hers from yesterday to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's why most people didn't do it on the bottom of the hour, is because it kind of crams in more people's presentations.
Yeah, I thought so.
I did mine at 8:30 because I knew that I'd have my kids in bed by then. So, and it wasn't too late.
Very
So
smart.
I don't think it matters.
I think it
Yeah,
worked out fine.
well, no one protests. 7:30 is the show. And if I arrive late, one of you can open for me.
We'll start the before show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll join in for the headline at 7:30.
Joe's fixing his man bun right now. So
technical difficulties.
Yeah, I'm working on the 360 cam so you can see the front and the back of my man bun at the same time.
You are so considerate. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop recording just so it